information. What empathy says is, I can not only understand that you feel differently than I am, but by learning how you process information, I can become smarter. I can develop extra voices in my head about what's going on. And the final is social skills. I changed the word. In other words, Daniel Goleman calls it social skills. I call it relationship management. Can you manage the relationships in your life, going back to yesterday's definition, so that people become wiser, they become healthier, they become more autonomous, they're able to make better decisions, as opposed to they become more shut down, more robotic, less emotionally invested, and they have heart attacks. So I want to break each of these down. We're going to move relatively quickly at this point. I want to give you a working definition of self-awareness. First of all, can you understand your moods and emotions, and more importantly, your drivers? How many of you really get annoyed by stupid people? Just incompetence, you just want to hurt them. People that can't count change, they drive slow in the fast lane, that means you're red, by the way, just so if we go back to yesterday. But you just can't stand incompetent people. How many of you have other people that if they bring up politics or religion, or if they bring up anything about, it's not, Napolitano isn't governor anymore here. Who's governor now? Brewer. Oh, okay, well, that's a worthless topic. Anyway, but if they bring up things, immediately it gets your ire up. Or do you have an uncle, an aunt, a cousin, someone in your family that as soon as you see them, it's like, ah! They can just shoot your whole day down. What self-awareness says is you know what your triggers are, you know what your drivers are, you know what gets your goat. And so most people that I talk to are hardwired for pain. There's these certain things that upset you, they happen every day, and most of you have this big sign on your back that says, go ahead, push my button, I'll get pissed. And then we get mad at the people in our life for pushing the buttons. I have an idea, unhook the button. Okay? But they're able to do that. Second thing is, people that are really good at self-awareness understand their effect on other people. They get that when I do A, B happens. I need to find a way to change the way I approach this person. I need to probably talk a little slower. I need to be a little less intense. I need to be a little more intense. I need to sit down when I talk to this woman. I need to make this guy, when I talk to him, I need to make a little more formal. That you have the ability to say, this is how I affect other people, and then instead of blaming him for being stupid and not understanding what a wonderful boss you are, you adjust your style and your approach to be effective. Now, hallmarks of self-awareness. Number one is self-confidence. They're not particularly arrogant. People with good self-awareness have self-confidence because they know what they're good at and they know what they're not good at. And they're not trying to cover up for what they're not good at. They're not trying to pretend they're better than they really are. So there's no energy invested in like the facade or the image. So as a result, they know, hey, I'm good at this and I'm not good at that. So they're very, very confident because what they're good at, they know they're good at. Number two is they have a very realistic self-assessment. When I do the 360s, the bigger the gap between how your other people see you and how you see you, the less self-awareness you have. And to give you an idea, of those 5 that we went through, the social skills and the empathy and motivation and self-regulation, self-awareness is more important than the other 4 put together. In other words, this is the key or the doorway through which everything else goes. Because if you have no self-awareness, it's going to be hard to have self-regulation. If you have no self-awareness, it's going to be hard to be empathetic. If you have no self-awareness, it's going to be hard to know you have no social skills. And not only do you need a tic-tac, but you need a lot more. Have you ever met people that needed an emotional tic-tac? Because they were just so bad. And last, this is probably my number 1 test for self-awareness. They have a self-deprecating sense of humor. They're able to laugh at themselves. Have you ever worked for someone that when someone makes just the innocent, you know how you kind of banter and there's a little semi-sarcasm in there and we kind of play with each other, and you do that with someone, they're like, that wasn't funny. I can't believe you said that. Wow, rent a sense of humor, it'll help you at work here. But if you, and especially if you're in a position of power, if you can't laugh at yourself, what we know is you lack self-awareness. So this is something I look for. As a matter of fact, those of you that interview and bring people in, try and set up situations where you give the interviewees a chance to kind of make fun of themselves or laugh at themselves or be a little self-deprecating, because if you can see that, you know you got someone that's going to be good at self-awareness. If I look at self-management, what I'm looking at here is, do you have the ability to redirect disruptive impulses and moods? When that feeling comes up, like think about it, if on your car, on the steering wheel, you had a red button that if you pushed it would produce a laser beam that would incinerate other vehicles. and you're driving down the road, and this big truck moves over and cuts you off in your lane, drives you off the road out into the desert. As he's driving off, if you could push that button, would you? And emotionally, have you ever wanted to kill someone for like a driving mistake, late report, not getting something in on time? That what self-management says is, or self-regulation is, my disruptive impulses and moods, I can control them. When your kid does something, spills milk, messes something up, you're like, inside just, ah! Do you let him have it, because you love him? After all, it needs a firm hand, right? Or can you stop yourself when the little things in life kind of hook you and bring you in? That's a lot of what this is all about. Do you believe that if your name is high enough on the org chart, you can yell at anybody that you want? Do you believe that if your box is high enough on the org chart, you don't have to be emotional intelligence because you have power and you're going to wield it? Or can you see where you get in your own ways? Secondly, and this is really important, there's a propensity amongst these people to suspend judgment. They're like, first impressions aren't always accurate, and so if at first you say something that really kind of rankles me, I'm like, you didn't listen to me, you didn't follow through with what I wanted, this isn't the information that I was looking for, I don't know how I could have been more clear. People who are really good at self-regulation will stop back and say, okay, now wait a minute. I know you're a good employee. You've done good work in the past. I got to figure out where this is coming from. Can you see how just that ability to suspend your judgment by not forming a sense of certainty around your initial assumption, which produces a set of emotions. In other words, every emotion that you have comes from some external stimulus. There's a thought. Something happens in the environment, and it goes into your head, and you say to yourself, what does this mean, and what should I do? And if you say, you know what this means? This means one more time you didn't listen to me, one more time you didn't give me what I wanted, our business is losing money, I don't have cash flow, I'm trying to bring this stuff in, and I get this! Did that cause a feeling in me? Did it change the chemistry in my brain? Did it even change what I would focus on and see? I just let go of every good thing she's ever done as an employee for this company for the past 15 years, and all I can see is one glaring mistake that I don't even know is true, I just made it up in my head. This ability to suspend judgment is brilliant. And again, if I could point out for you Oakcraft guys, Danny, as president, is probably one of the best people I've ever worked with at this. I have been through good and bad times in this organization. I have watched really hard news. I have watched some really good news come through. And in 10 years of working with Oakcraft and 2.5 years very tightly, I can think of one time in that entire time when I saw Danny get a little edgy. And his edgy for him is like, talking about this loud. Okay? And his ability to suspend judgment, look at it from a different side, look if there's any possible way. Probably the best testament I could give you to this. A situation where we had an employee that was being less than straight up with cash. It was clear something had happened. It was clear that it was a violation. Danny's response. Now, if you found out someone might be messing with your cash, what kind of response would you have to that information? What would you do? Get upset and get pissed? What else? What would you all do? And seriously, think about it. It's your business, your company, you're losing money, and you find that someone's messing around with your cash. What would be your first response? Yeah, anger, fire him, get rid of him, go through. You know what? Huh? Trap him, yeah. Nail the guy to the wall. Danny's thing was, if there's any possibility that we're wrong, let's rule that out first. Do you get what I mean by the ability to suspend judgment and then come to a conclusion and follow through? Hallmarks. Trustworthiness. Think about this. And everyone says, we need more trust in our organization. No, you don't. You need more trustworthy people in your organization. Trust will come all by itself. It's like humility. You can't focus on humility and get more humble, all right? Because as soon as you recognize that you're more humble, you aren't. Humility is the byproduct of some other action. Trust is the same way. You can't build trust in your organization. What you can do is build more trustworthy people, build more trustworthy processes, build more trustworthy systems. Then you're going to get trust in your organization.